What will it take for the Seahawks to win the Super Bowl? That's the question we are answering today as we count down the days to Super Bowl Sunday. Jeff, let's start with the Seahawks offense. So we're coming off a huge Sam Darnold game against the Rams. He's been playing his best ball lately and certainly has the right weapons around him to get it done.
I think for Sam Darnold, and this is certainly something we've discussed, certainly over the past weeks and months, this is a situation where maybe Sam Darnold's basically the toughest matchup for Sam Darnold is Sam Darnold.
Is himself? I was
Like,
just going to say that.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
because, and you look at this, and I think a lot of the concern, in to do it because he's had such a remarkable year. And let's be
Hmm.
honest, it's two remarkable years now he's put together back to back.
Exactly.
But, I do think, there's probably a lot of speculation and a lot of wondering, is, the Cinderella moment going to come for, Sam Darnold where,
Mm,
it's all gonna get turned upside down again.
right.
But, for Sam Darnold, look, the offense is clicking so well now. The offensive
Hmm.
line is playing so well.
Yep.
You have a player in Jackson Smith-Njigba who is just an absolute colossal talent. Now, granted, New England's gonna do everything they can to take him away,
Hmm.
whether it be, Christian Gonzalez and JSN the entire day, or do you say, "You know what? No player is good enough that we can just think one guy's gonna take JSN away, so do we put
Right.
Gonzalez somewhere else? That way we can afford, 2 bodies, 3 bodies in areas, zone coverages, obviously,
Hmm.
to kinda corral in Jackson Smith-Njigba. Certainly where Sam probably wants to get it going, because if Sam can get it started with JSN, everything else just so naturally falls in a line
We've
because he
seen
just
it.
becomes
Yep.
it's such a nuisance. He puts up such an amazing crazy amount of production that you get into this situation where, "Oh, Walker just got 17. Well, what do you want me to do? We just had Jackson
Hmm.
Smith-Njigba take us for 3 straight catches for 41 yards."
Yeah.
We can't necessarily stop everything. So, for Sam in this situation, eh, you know, just don't let the moment become bigger than it has to be.
Mhm.
You played well enough to probably get to the moment last year. You've certainly, obviously, played well enough this year to get to this moment. Just sit back, relax, soak it all in, and do what you've been doing basically 98% of the last 2 seasons.
Well, and we've seen that even if JSN is covered, we saw Cooper Kupp get involved, we saw Jake Bobo, and then you, of course, have Kenneth Walker. There's just so many different ways they can beat you with this offense. We've talked about the similarities of this defense to the Legion of Boom era. This defense is such a huge reason why they are here, and I can see them getting to Drake May in this one,
Well, look, Drake May's taking sacks this year. I mean, let's not forget he lit up the
especially
Cleveland
in
Browns.
the playoffs.
Yes, and, lit up the Cleveland Browns. Myles Garrett sacked him 5 times.
Right.
But, so May, that's certainly something for Drake May that, he's going to have to worry about. And look, that shouldn't be honestly like a surprise for anybody. I mean, you get to this playoff. I mean, you get to this, point, you get to the Super Bowl. Obviously, the team you're most likely playing is complete. You know what I'm saying? They can do a little bit of
Exactly.
everything, and that's certainly what Seattle can do. I think for Seattle, though, the thing that's really probably going to be a little bit difficult for Drake May is it's improvement week to week, and it's because of a guy like, Eamon Yora, who's just
Mm,
getting more and more involved, and I love the fact that Seattle and we're seeing this a lot within the NFL. You're getting these players like Hamilton in Baltimore. Just because they played safety doesn't mean that's the only place you have to use them. I mean, if they're
Kyle
6'3",
Hamilton can play
230,
every position. He's a perfect
exactly,
example of that.
but these guys are 6'3", 230. They're
Mhm.
just as big as any linebacker you have on your team. And for a lot of teams, yeah, they're pretty much the equivalent size of an undersized edge. There are
Yeah.
so many things you can do with these guys with their length and athleticism. And I think that's what's really helping Seattle is because the more they put on his plate, it's not necessarily anything that's on film yet. So it's
Mm.
not like you could coach for it, prepare for it, any of that stuff. Because I mean, they're just taking this kid who's just got an uber talented defensive mind and basically the perfect body you would want for a player to be a hybrid defensive player, and just basically use them where they feel the biggest threat or need is for them for him to address. And for Seattle, it's really it's really been a fun team to just watch evolve here. I
Yeah.
mean, everybody naturally was talking about the Rams. Everybody was naturally talking about, San Francisco. And then there was Seattle, just basically, the little engine that could all year long. They just weren't going away like the little ankle
Mhm.
biting dog. And then they weren't that little ankle biting dog anymore. They became the biggest bad, dog in the NFC West and all of the
Right.
NFC. They can run the ball. They can throw the ball on you. They're physical. They are fast. This is, for Seattle, you want another Super Bowl trophy. I mean, this is certainly a team that in my opinion, should be able to, be able hopefully to deliver this for you on Sunday.
I've been so impressed by the Seahawks coaching and their roster construction just at every level between Mike McDonald, Clint Kubiak, AD, and John Schneider. I don't see any holes on this roster, and it feels like they couldn't be set up any better coaching wise.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you know, naysayers will maybe say, "Well, where is Clint Kubiak's head?" You know what I'm saying? I mean, we all know without
Yeah,
knowing what's going to happen once this game ends on Sunday. And, let's talk about, it's not bad life for Clint Kubiak, right? From where you are
right.
right now, about to go, take this run with Sam Darnold, hopefully try to win this championship, roll into Vegas, get yourself Fernando Mendoza, and hopefully establish a little bit more for yourself. But yeah, that coaching staff, it's just been incredible.
Mhm.
I think everybody has really excelled. You look at every positional group on this team, I think they probably played better than maybe what people felt the expectation was for that
Yeah,
room. You certainly can say that about the wide receiver room because I think a lot of people, with the moving on from DK Metcalf, man, what are we, what kind of room is this going to be? Is really JSN a league number one?
right.
And,
Turns out he was. Yeah.
the only, sometimes, you hope you're the smartest people in the room. And, I think for Seattle in a lot of this instance, they were the smartest people in the room and the moves they made certainly have paid off.
When I look at the advantages for the Seahawks, I do see quite a few here. Another area that stands out to me is special teams. So they've got an 11-year veteran in Jason Myers at kicker. Patriots are rolling out a rookie. We've also seen what Rashid Shaheed can do in the return game. I think that's another area that's not getting enough chatter.
And it always seems like it never gets talked about enough, but you can go back to most Super Bowls and you can find maybe like one special team's defining moment, whether it was a
Hmm.
missed kick, whether it was a return. Um, and the Rashid Shaheed, and the thing is, it's one thing, to be a really good player. It's one thing to maybe just to be the guy who can be the moment guy. And
Right.
that was, the first playoffs game, obviously, for Shaheed, that was it. I mean, it was over. I mean,
Yep. On the first, yeah.
the 12s stood up out of their seats, and for the next 3 hours, they did not return to their seats, and, the butt
Hmm.
kicking commenced. So you certainly, I have to think Vrabel is certainly, putting an emphasis on that. Look, don't kick it in the end zone, kick it through the end zone because Shaheed is a good enough guy where if it's 5 yards deep, I'm probably still going to roll the dice because I know what kind of talent I have. So it's one
Right.
of those ones where basically you're just, basically aiming for the uprights, punting. Hopefully you try to, get some situational stuff. Either the ball travels a little higher in the air or, you're kicking it right on the sidelines. But, like you said before the NFC Championship game, you thought there could be a moment where something in that game was going to break for somebody. And it turned out you were right, obviously, my dear. And that certainly can be the case here again this week.
Yeah, I do agree with that. Are there any other strengths you see in this team that may not be getting as much attention, or any other storylines?
I think as the weeks have gone on here and the pressure has gone on, I think we've seen a little bit better version of Cooper Kupp. We
I
know at this
agree.
point in his career, he's certainly been dealing, with, whatever's left of his body. Certainly not the player he was, 4 or 5 years ago when he was an absolute beast for the Rams. Certainly understands the opportunity that is here in front of him.
Yeah.
I think the same thing could be said for Rashid Shaheed. I think the more and longer he's been here, they've gotten more comfortable within the system. And now the thing is you want to take away JSN, but Cooper Cook can still cook a lot of guys. We know that.
Yeah.
Rashid Shaheed is an extremely difficult vertical cover. From his time in New Orleans and his time in Seattle, everybody knows the deal. The guy really just runs 9 routes. Well, if we all know he pretty much just runs 9 routes, can anybody ever stop him from
Mhm.
being successful on 9 routes? And all that stuff just makes what? Sam's life easier. It makes life easier for Kenneth Walker. It's less looks JSN is going to see. It's a really enviable spot, I think for Seattle to be in right now, where they're kind of getting everybody clicking. And
Right.
honestly, it's on offense, it's on defense, and it probably is on special teams.
Mhm.
It's rare that you see one team going to come into this game where I think, offensively, defensively, and on special teams, they're becoming the best version of themselves right now, which obviously makes them a really, really difficult out here on Sunday.
Second and goal at the one. Seahawks fans know exactly what that means. Do they get their revenge in this one? Because, and I don't want to oversimplify this question, but I feel like when I look at it, they are the better roster. When I look at it, it looks like it is their game to lose, but obviously that's not always how the NFL goes. Do they get their revenge in this game and win the Super Bowl?
You still can't get over that play all these years later.
We never
Throw
will,
the
Jeff
ball,
Floyd.
just
None of us will.
I was and it still just absolutely blows my mind. Like, I still remember sitting there watching that with people going and everybody and, like, 'cause everybody I mean, like, everybody loved Marshawn in those days. It was like, "Oh, yeah, here we go." What are you doing? What in the world did you just do? Look,
11 years later, it still feels too soon to speak about, if I'm honest, as a
11 years,
Seahawks fan.
11 years, wow. I gotta be honest. I don't see how New England wins this game. I just don't think New England has the completeness that Seattle has, and it's not just in one phase of the game. It's in all
Mhm.
three areas of the game. Like you said, rookie kicker. Big moment for him. Yes, Drake May's been phenomenal this year. Playoffs have certainly not been that easy. He was lucky to get to this game.
Right.
Even still lucky to get to this game playing against Denver's second string quarterback.
Exactly.
And now you're
And the weather
asking.
game, that game could have looked so
Yep.
different had the snow not come.
And now it's just a bigger, badder, faster opponent. I feel really confident in this, and I think Seattle, this opportunity is here. And obviously, you love to see it. For a franchise like that, a fan base like that, a guy like Mike McDonald. And now, how quickly is it now that Mike McDonald, in his second year, now has the staff that's already being pilfered from, that other
Right.
people want his guys, and he's only been there, and it's year two, for God's sakes.
Mhm.
Um,
That's a good
12's
point.
this is one of the good things when you get a West Coast team in the Super Bowl with a chance, obviously, to win. The 12s, the party's gonna start about 7 o'clock at night, so you can go all night after that. Us here on the West Coast, we'll be
That's
packing
right.
it off to bed. The 12s, it should be a very, very fun evening. I'm probably figuring, somewhere maybe in like the, 24-17, 24-19 range. I think Seattle is just so good in all three phases of the game. And even if they have a hiccup or two, they can get it picked up by other areas of the team.